The theme for today is polyamory. And how that came about, on a random day in November or December, Muvumbi, a friend of my sister-in-law, posted a blog my sister-in-law posted a blog on her Facebook wall, which was on polyamory. And I read this thing as I woke up. For some reason, I went and read this thing. I was triggered like hell. Oh my goodness, I was shaking and shivering all day. I was like, oh! And I saw my biases, I could see all of that, and I thought, I have no idea why this thing is triggering me like this. Then there's something in it for me. Then I went, scratching further. But as I was investigating and researching it, comes to mind, that moment when, you might or might not, but when you attend a wedding, there's the moment where the aunties and the malumes come and give the guidance, yeah? And more and more, it's swaying towards, the man will disappear one day and he'll get a puncher and you need to accept. And I'm like, in my book, that's not how things work. I'm sorry. That is not going to be a reality that I will enjoy. In the same breath, we talk about getting empowered. And we talk about living our powerful lives. We talk about owning ourselves. We talk about, you need to stand for yourself and blah, blah, blah. But in the same breath, you need to accept things because they are imposed on you. And to me, there's just like a misfit there. And I'm like, no, but, something doesn't gel somewhere. I cannot have a system that's imposed on me. And then this understanding of polyamory, then to me, it became a clarity on choices that are out there. And I said, look, if somebody then is choosing like this, I don't want somebody to choose it for me. I want to have a say in my own life. That is empowered. Because when we, at the end of the day, say, I'm being abused in this relationship, but then at some point we were saying, when his tire punched, you need to accept. It just does not, I don't know, to me it doesn't sit well. It shouldn't be working together. If I'm accepting that, then how long is this trend of abuse, and how did we actually open for it and what it is? So in moving to a very healed, solid, empowered people, we need to then have these conversations, get ourselves challenged, and then make up our minds to say, this is what works for me. And we've got definitions of normal. I don't know who came up with the definition of normal. And we're all trying to fit into this normal, right? And normal for me is not necessarily normal for the next person. So let's talk about those things outside the normal, because that's not what matters. That's not what is important. What is important is what I want. And what I want then is my normal. Without wanting to sway a conversation in a certain way, that is the mindset and the thinking that I'm in. So now I'm solid. I know that I'm monogamous. I enjoy a monogamy relationship. So let anything else not be imposed on me. And if somebody else chooses otherwise, let them choose that. And I will respect them as a person, but that's their choice. And then there is, a line. That way, there's healthy relating. And that's kind of the mindset and the background of how we came to say, let's have a conversation around polyamory. What was very interesting is that when we start putting it out there, then there's excitement. And then there's, oh, no, I'm not going to be seen in public that I like this and I want to come and whatever. I will talk to Sydney in private. I'm like, okay, cool, let's do that. And then there was like a whole, people, oh yeah, I'm coming. And then towards closer to the time, the last 2 days, I promise you, each time I turned on my phone, I was like, oh, sorry, I can't come and whatever. But like there's, then people falling off the wagon again. And it could be several things, but it's just as with anything and as with everything. But one thing about this, some of the comments I got, one lady I sent to her the invite, and she says to me, so where's the love in this? And I thought, interesting. This is why we need to talk about it, actually. This is the reason why we need to talk about it. Because if that is kind of what we are pushing forward and what we are pursuing, and we're raising kids, some of us, so yeah, an open mind is a healthier mind. I hope you enjoyed today, and I hope it meets your expectations, but most of all, I hope you gain great expansion out of today. Thanks.
I can't remember, I must have been about 11 or 12. I think I was in a thing called Standard 4. They call it grade 6 now, right? And I was very in love with a girl called Margot. She was about my height, which I found very sexy at the time. I did. And my friend Jens, my best friend in all the world, had very good taste in women. And he also liked Margot. And so, okay, that can happen, right? That can really happen. And so he proposed a very strange solution. He said, what's going to happen now is I'm going to fight you and you're going to fight me, and the winner is going to win Margot. And I said to Jens, doesn't Margot get to decide who she wants to go out with? Why would she decide to choose between two fighting boys? That doesn't make any sense to me. But he was very insistent, we have to fight in order to prove our love for Margot. And I'm thinking, if I was Margot, I'd be looking at these two idiots and thinking, I don't want to touch these guys with a barge pole, because what kind of twits are they, right? And so where do we get this from, this idea of women are not allowed to choose, the men do the choosing, and also that relationships must be so-called fought for? Where do we get this idea? And of course we get it from the culture. We get it, Stephanie's got a book all about the toxic patriarchal culture, and I never really understood that. I thought that women could also get to choose who they want to go out with. And that's fantastic in theory, until one evening I found my wife in the bath texting. Now I just want to say something, never text in the bath. Because what happens is the phone falls into the bath and then breaks the phone. Ask me how I know this. I was playing a game on the phone and the phone fell in the bath, and that was it. And then when she saw me, she quickly put the phone away. And I thought, okay. And she said, I've been, all afternoon I've been at Marisa's house, we've been drinking wine and talking about sex. Now I was born in the morning, but not yesterday morning. So I immediately poured her a glass of wine, and I said, darling, I've noticed we've been having a lot more sex lately than normal. She said, oh, did you notice that? I said, we men kind of tend to notice these subtle things. And then I said, so what's going on? She said, no, nothing. I said, come on, what's going on? She says, you always told me sex was important in a relationship and we should prioritize it, and that's what I'm doing. I said, but really what's going on? She says, no, I'm flirting with an ex-boyfriend on Facebook. Now, I've just told you how I believe women have got choice, right? And I've just told you that nobody belongs to me, right? And here she is flirting with an ex-boyfriend on Facebook. So now I've got a choice. I can either phone the divorce lawyers, it was a little bit late, but I can because that's what I'm supposed to do, right? Or I'm supposed to lose my temper, or I'm supposed to get all jealous. I don't know what I'm supposed to do, but the culture tells us these things. And so I said, what do you get from him that you don't get from me? Because maybe she's getting something that maybe I can help with. Turns out I couldn't help, because she said, I feel desired. I've had 3 children, I'm a little bit frumpy, I'm a middle-aged woman, been married for 12 years, and now all of a sudden here's an ex-boyfriend of mine who just wants me for me. She says, you don't want me for me, you married me, you have a contract, you signed, I will love you forever. So essentially she's saying, how can I trust that? That's what she's actually saying, right? But here's a guy who just wants her for her. Of course, she tells the story slightly differently. I went to Las Vegas on a conference. What happens in Vegas? Goes on YouTube. That is correct. And I got a puncture in Vegas. The roads are very bad. And so my wife said, what happened in Vegas? And I said, look, I had resolved I wasn't going to tell my wife a lie. I wasn't going to lie to my own wife, right? And I said, it was Vegas. She says, what happened? I said, I kissed a girl. I kissed a girl and I liked it. And then she said, and did you sleep with her? And I said, no, I didn't. And in fact, I didn't. And why didn't you sleep with her? Because she said, I was married. So she wasn't going to sleep with me because I was married. Turns out she was also married. So she just didn't want to sleep with me. I'm obviously not that attractive, right? That even in Vegas, I can't get laid. But I think that was actually quite useful, because I think if I had had sex with that woman, I don't know if I would have been able to tell my wife the truth. So she says that's where the story starts. I say the story starts because I found my wife in the bath. And so we decided, okay, if my wife wants to feel desired, maybe I can also feel desired, and maybe I can also look for love, right? Not that I don't love my wife, and not that she doesn't love me, but who doesn't want to feel desired? Isn't that lovely? To be looked at with lust and adoration. That's a wonderful thing, right? And it's not only about lust and adoration, as we discovered, it's also about love. You can make romantic and loving connections. That's what we can do. And that's led us to the thing called polyamory, which means many, from the Greek many, and love, meaning amory, from the Latin amory, meaning love, right? So that is a relationship model. It's a relationship orientation, if you like. And it's different from monogamy. So the word gami in Greek actually means marriage. So we've got istembu, which means many marriages, right? And so it's tempting to call polyamory istembu sabelungu, which of course it isn't. Because ngestembu abafazi abakhethi. Amadoda bayakhetha. But abafazi abakwazi ukukhetha. But with polyamory, the woman is the center, actually. People think it's the man who wants to get punctures and go and spend time outside of the house fixing their punctures. But actually, statistically, it's the women more than the men who get bored in relationships. So guys, if you're not getting laid, it's because she's bored. Sorry for you. Yeah. Men are sexually interested in their partners for much longer than women are. But it's the men who think, oh, I'm going to go out there. It's going to be great. And it turns out, of course, women can get any man they want, man they want, and men find it much more difficult. You know, there were two little children, and the one little girl, they pulled on their pants, they wanted to see what's going on. And the little boy says, I've got a penis. You don't even have a penis. She says, no, I've got a vagina. And my mother says, with one of these, I can get as many of those as I want. It doesn't work the other way around. For lots of reasons, and Stephanie will tell you, women feel, it's not that women don't want to have more sex, it's women feel threatened. There are a lot of men out there who are actually quite dangerous. So women have to be a lot more discerning. And they found, and I'm not going to go into that, they found in cultures where the women are central, everybody has more sex. The women have more sex, the men have more sex, and actually violence goes all the way down because the women are in charge. And with polyamory, the women are in charge. And traditionally with monogamy, the men are in charge. So I talked about the word gami meaning marriage, and I talked about polygamy meaning many marriages. It turns out in the olden days, you know, in sort of early Christian time, monogamy meant one marriage for life. You got married and then you stayed married. That was the end of it. Now, of course, monogamy just means one relationship at a time. I'm going to be monogamous here, and then I'm going to break up with that person. I'm going to be monogamous there, and then they're going to cheat on me, and I'm going to be monogamous over here. So that's a kind of a strange twist now, where we can have many marriages, many relationships, but we still call it monogamy. So I don't want to go necessarily into the history of monogamy and how it's linked to agriculture and early Christian polygamy. I'm not going to talk about any of that. What I do want to talk about is how polyamory subverts monogamy. Because there's a thing called toxic monogamy. Now, I'm not against monogamy. If you want to be monogamous and you're happy with that choice, that's fantastic. But most people don't choose monogamy. For most people, monogamy just chooses them. The culture tells us there's going to be a princess, there's going to be a prince, and you're going to meet each other and you're going to fall in love, and that's how it's going to, and that's the end of it. You'll never desire anybody ever again. You'll never fall in love with anybody ever again. And that's not true. There's a very cute girl in accounts. You know, there's a very cute barista who makes the coffee. You're going to be attracted to people, you know, even if you are married. This is just what happens. So there are 9 things about toxic monogamy. The first one is that jealousy equals love. Jealousy does not equal love. Jealousy is an insecurity. What is jealousy? Jealousy is, I think you're going to leave me. I'm scared you're going to leave me. So now I'm feeling insecure, and now I'm going to lose my temper. So if you think about jealousy, it's just an emotion. If somebody had an anger management problem, would you stay with them? If they beat you up the whole time, if they were abusive towards you because they got angry, you wouldn't stay with them. That would be a deal breaker. But with jealousy, no. I feel uncomfortable because you are looking at somebody else. Therefore, I must control you, and I'm allowed to because I love you, and that's what jealousy is. So that is what we call toxic monogamy. That is also, and in the polyamory community, there's lots of jargon words. One of the jargon words we use, I'm just going to teach you a little bit of language here, is that's called bullshit, right? That's a jargon word. I hope you don't get confused with the technical language. That jealousy equals love. The second one is enough love erases all incompatibility. If I love you, then it doesn't really matter what happens. We can be poor. We can, we can hate our in-laws. It doesn't really matter what happens in the world. We love each other. That's enough. Love it's not enough. Sorry for you. That's toxic monogamy, because that means that people stay in a relationship long after they should have left. They stay with a deadbeat person who can't pull their weight in a relationship, but because we love each other, it's going to be enough, right? It's not enough. Love is not enough. It's a necessary condition. Obviously, you want to be with somebody you love, but it's not a sufficient condition. It's not enough. The second one is this idea that your partner can be everything. You complete me. I have bad news for you. You are a person, and somebody else is a whole person. And when the two of you come together, you are not completing two halves of one whole. You are a person, and there's another person. And so what is a relationship for? A relationship is for pursuing joint goals. It's for shared values. It's for making something together, whether that's a house with children or a life. It doesn't really matter, but that's what a relationship is for. It's about two people moving in a journey together. It's not about you complete me. And that's the third thing. You think that unless my partner is everything for me, then there is something wrong with them. Or if my partner wants something from me that I don't have, then they're being very needy. And when Janet is in the bath texting this guy she knows from Facebook from before she married me, is she being needy? That she wants to feel loved? I don't think so. I think that's normal. Is she being needy? I can't give her that because I've been married to her for 12 years. How can I be new? That's a bit harder, right? The next one, and I've talked about this already, number 4, you can't be attracted to somebody if you're in a monogamous relationship. And that is what we call bullshit, right? Of course you can. There's a cute woman in accounts. There's this gorgeous guy who makes the coffee at Starbucks or Seattle or wherever you go for coffee. You think, woof, he's quite nice. Of course you're going to be attracted to human beings, right? This is how that works. The next one is commitment equals exclusivity. That's number 5. Why is that toxic? Why is exclusivity equals commitment? A lot of us will say, but that's normal. If you're committed to me, you're exclusive. So at the moment, as it happens, I'm spending much more time with my partner than I am with my other partner. I'm spending more time with my partner than the person I married, which is my other partner, right? Now that's weird that I'm spending more time with somebody outside my marriage than inside my marriage. But I say, does that make me any less committed to my marriage? And the truth is, no, it doesn't. I'm still committed to my wife. I'm still committed to my children. I'm still committed to the life we're living together. As it happens, my partner and I are both self-employed. We can get to spend more time with each other. We get to spend more nights with each other. My wife's also got other partners. She sings in the symphony choir of Johannesburg on a Wednesday night. So she's got other commitments. And so does that make her less committed to me? If I played golf every Saturday, would that make me less committed? Commitment and exclusivity are not the same thing. There's a woman called Maya Mazoret. She's the sex columnist for Le Monde. It's a newspaper in France. And she says, French, right? French. Yeah. I would rather have your loyalty than your fidelity. I would rather you were loyal to me and our marriage and our children and our family and our path together. And if you want to have liaison with other people, you're still loyal to me, right? That's an interesting idea. The 6th one of toxic monogamy is the only reason to be in a relationship is to have kids. If you're dating somebody and you're not going to get married and not going to have kids, then why are you dating them? Maybe it's because I love them? Is that okay? Is that enough? No, not enough. And so people will say to Taryn and me, where's this going? She's divorced, I'm married. Where's this going? Well, where does it have to go? I've got kids. Taryn's got kids. Where must we go now? I mean, I said to Taryn, must I pack 2 suitcases and arrive on your doorstep? She says, please don't do that. What, don't you love me? Yeah, I love you, but not like that, you know. Don't move in with me. I've got a family. It's quite nice that you have a family and I have a family. It's fine. So marriage and kids are not the only reason to be in a relationship. You can be in a relationship because you love each other. You can be in a relationship because this is the path we're making for ourselves right now. A successful relationship can be a week, it can be a night, it can be a month, it can be a lifetime. Just because a relationship only lasts 6 months or 2 years doesn't make it an unsuccessful relationship. Maybe I'm learning about myself, right? Maybe I'm healing. These are valid reasons to be in a relationship. The seventh one I'm talking about is my insecurity is your problem. Ish, you're looking at somebody beautiful and you're jealous. You're cheating on me and now I'm going to lose my temper. I'm feeling uncomfortable. Now I have to control you. You are mine, by the way. When you signed that dotted line to marry me, actually you were signing a slave contract. 5 minutes. Thank you, Sichava. When you signed that dotted line on the marriage, you were signing a slave contract. You didn't know that. We actually outlawed slavery in South Africa in 1838, but we talk about my wife and my husband, and I own you. I said to my wife, here you are sending pictures of yourself to a man I've never met. She said, it's my phone. It's my airtime. It's my body. You don't own me. You are not the boss of me. I thought, oh. I thought you were my wife. Yeah, but you're not my master. I'm not your slave. Interesting idea, right? I had to really get over that. I had to really think, whoa, it's been a real journey, you know? All of it, because I was also in the patriarchy. I had to think, if my wife can do these things, I want to do them because I know what I'm doing, right? But if my wife is doing them, then I get threatened. It's not cool. I can't control anybody else because of my insecurity. The next one, number 8, is the value and energy and time that you spend in a relationship is what they call a zero-sum game. That means if I'm spending time with Taryn and I'm not spending time with Janet, then they are competing with each other for my time and attention, and one has to give up something in order for another one to gain. That's not true. You know, my wife sings in the Symphony Choir of Johannesburg every Wednesday. That means she's performing on Saturdays and Sundays and Fridays sometimes. Is she somehow not committed to me because she's spending time and energy somewhere else? No. She's growing herself as a person. So I don't have to compete with the choir. Janet doesn't have to compete with my time with Taryn. The time I have is very intentional time. I am now with this person. I can be with this person. When it's with somebody else, I can be with them. The last one is number 9. Your value is determined by being in a relationship. What does that mean? You've all heard this, and you might even have said it. I've certainly said it. I wish I could find somebody to love, because then I would be okay. What kind of person am I if I can't find a girlfriend or if I can't find a wife? What kind of person am I? Well, you're a whole person. You are all there is. And so just because you're not in a relationship doesn't make you less valuable as a person. And we've all had that, right? We might even have felt that. We do need love in our lives. There's no question about that. But if you don't have a love in your life, that doesn't make you less of a person. So polyamory, I don't want you to think that this has been easy for me. We still get jealous. I don't want you to think that this is a walk in the park. When Janet and I first decided to be non-exclusive sexually, it took us about a year of crying and soul-searching and what does this mean to be married and what are we breaking? And you know, I said to Janet, we're breaking our relationship. Our marriage is broken. We have to create a new marriage now, one which can accommodate the loyalty but not the fidelity, one that allows us the opportunity to fall in love with people and maybe have our hearts broken, because that's kind of the point of love, right? It's kind of the point. I remember one night, Janet said to me, I'm going to see this guy. And I was unhappy. Oh. Because I realized in that moment, you know, my wife, Vagina, can have anybody. She can have anybody. And I love my wife, and I think she's an amazing woman. And why wouldn't somebody want to go for her, right? And I said to her, are you going to leave me for this guy? She said, don't be ridiculous. He lives in Boksburg. Don't be ridiculous. He lives in Boksburg. And anyway, his house is too small. The commute is terrible. I thought she really has thought about this quite hard. But we decided at that moment we were going to stay married to each other. That's what we wanted to do. We wanted to stay married. So my invitation to you today is, look at your relationship and decide, do I want to be with this person? Because they can leave at any time. That's the truth. They can fall in love with anybody at any time. That's the truth. And then you have to decide for yourself, is this somebody I want to be in love with? Is this somebody I want to be with? Is this somebody I want to make a relationship with? And you can ask them the same question. And that's my invitation to you. Come to Poly Cocktails on Tuesday. It's the last Tuesday of every month. We've got a meetup group. We've got a website. But my invitation to you, whether you're monogamous or not, is when you have a relationship, try to have that relationship and be intentional. Se chava.